Hello and welcome to Check Out This Guy. This is the podcast where we talk about OCs, or in fact, sometimes fan work versions of existing characters. Those count in my IMO. And hey, since we're talking about that funny little distinction, you know what that means. We're back in Interstitial, baby, specifically the Reaper's Olympics. And this week, I'm the only regular host. We have two very special guests on the podcast to talk about their player characters in that campaign. So I'm Emery. My pronouns are they, she, he. Why don't y'all introduce yourselves?
All right. I'm Dan, he, they.
And I'm Patrick, he, him.
And yeah, so actually, why don't you also mention your player characters for Reaper's Olympics?
My character was Azrael Dreamer from Undertale, but specifically sort of drawing from AU versions. One of the classic, I'll get more into it, but he's an AU version based primarily on Dreamer Reborn, but also kind of influenced by another AU called Growth Spurt.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and I know you said there's three of us. I do count three, but then you're forgetting about me, you pal Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about Roger Rabbit because, you know, we got 3 audio tracks here. I forgot that you were sharing a mic with Patrick.
And do you know how much an audio track costs nowadays? You're lucky we got 3 between the 4 of us.
Yeah, inflation is a real bitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. Someone gets a balloon pump and then they go up and up, and it's like in Space Jam.
Yeah.
Remember when that happened to Chris Pratt?
Well, yeah. We should talk about that.
But yes, my character was Roger Rabbit from the hit film Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Which, spoiler alert, is a very fun character to play in a campaign.
Yeah. No, I said this in our first Reaper's Olympics episode, but y'all did such a good job with your characters. Roger Rabbit was fucking unforgettable. Incredible shit.
Incredible. No notes. You know what? Just that's why they call him One Take Roger.
That's right.
That's true.
That's true. So, I'll get into my character a little bit. Like I said, influenced by Dreamer Reborn and Growth Spurt. Quick summaries of those two. Dreamer Reborn was one of the first AUs ever created for Undertale, like a couple days after the game came out.
Oh, wow.
In the game Undertale, spoilers, if you haven't played Undertale, you should play Undertale. There's the tragic character of Azrael Dreamer. It initially takes the form of Flowey, a flower that sort of sinisterly guides you, and you sort of learn that he, had, a tragic death and died and then was brought back, but it kind of brought him back wrong, and it brought him back as a weird fucked up flower guy. And in, the pure pacifist ending, what happens is he sort of, through a bunch of, soul magic, ends up reforming into his original form, Azrael. And then he turns into a transformed version that is a sort of a more adult shape. He's very Sephiroth with it.
He gets a final form.
Yeah, he gets 2, though most people think about the one that's kind of hot. So in this AU,
I do want to note real quick that one of those is known as one of those final forms is the God of Hyperdeath.
Yeah, the God of Hyperdeath is sort of how the form is just generally referred to, yeah. So, in this AU, what happens is Frisk, that's the player character, who is technically a different person than you, the player, just goes back and sort of merges his soul with Flowey/Azrael, thereby allowing him to have a significantly less doomed existence of a shared body. How this generally shows up in this AU setting, which is mostly told through comic, is he looks like Azrael, but sometimes his face transforms into Frisk's face in the game. And that's when Frisk is controlling and is told through dialogue boxes. So that's sort of the basis of the character. I was also, like I said, influenced by another one called Growth Spurt. That's not really directly connected, but it is like, it's another Asriel Lives AU. Asriel Lives AUs are one of the foundational, like, AUs of Undertale.
Yeah.
In that one, it's more, Asriel becomes like, a sort of like awkward young adult. I think he gets like a shitty stubble, and, he's significantly less intimidating than he is in his final boss form.
It's so wild that Toby Fox made an Asriel Lives AU called Deltarune.
You know what? You're right. We're still only like 2/7 of the way through the production of Deltarune, but I think it is kind of playing with that concept.
Uh-huh.
That's sort of the gist of the character for now. Patrick, why don't you tell me a bit about Roger Rabbit? Your idea behind Roger Rabbit?
So my idea behind Roger Rabbit was pretty simple, which is I wanted to play a character who was just really funny.
Yeah. You nailed it, I think.
I think I nailed it is the thing. Because, yeah, I basically just kind of took him wholesale from the movie. You know, I made some, like, slight alterations, but, like, nothing I would be able to even, like, put into words of just kind of making the character my own. I guess, you know, adjusting his sense of humor a little bit more towards mine, but not significantly enough. Like, you know, it was my best shot at doing a Roger Rabbit, considering I hadn't seen the movie in, we'll say, a year or two.
Yeah, this version of Roger Rabbit, like, reads obscure webcomics.
That happened, like, once. And to be clear, that's not because he reads it. It's because he keeps abreast of all the up-and-coming talent within the cartoon industry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that is one kind of minor change that I made, is that he is, you know, more modernized. He's still the same guy, but just he does know about more modern things.
Yeah.
As opposed to whatever decade the original movie was set in.
Yeah, he's not in like the late 1930s.
Yeah.
Or 1940s? I think it was 40s.
Whenever.
It's Noir era.
Yeah. Noir
sometime in the 20th century, you know.
No, this is a Roger of the present day.
But nothing about his personality or characteristics have changed beyond the fact that he knows about modern day things. I think even when it came to when he had a cell phone, I got to do a good bit where he just takes one of those old-timey rotary phones. Not even like a regular rotary phone, but the one that has it's like a box shape, and the actual phone almost looks like a little like horn.
Yeah, like a old cartoon phone.
Yeah.
The one with like the little cone thingy that you speak into.
Yeah.
I noticed the way you played him, he was, I don't want to say more competent or less bumbling, but more that he was able to direct his bumbling in a more constructive direction.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely like a little less chaotic than movie Roger, because you know that level of chaos would have been a little bit hard to deal with.
Yeah, that's a concession that needs to be made for the character sometimes. Is, hey, I want to be this character. I also want the game to run. I want to be able to play this game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Turns out I would like to play a game.
Yeah, you would.
You know? Even though the Saw Traps Olympics event was indefinitely postponed.
Yeah. So, the things that made me want to do this character, my character, sort of like Asriel, was, well, for one, there's a playbook in Interstitial 1E called The Amalgam, sort of drawing from how Kingdom Hearts has like a thing where people can dying people can be like absorbed into other people's hearts, and they're just sort of like riding around in there and come out when necessary.
Yeah, you know how Sora is like 7 Soras?
Yeah.
Maybe more, who could say?
I don't recall how many people are in there. I know at least 2.
The number of people in Sora depends on the night.
Yeah.
Sora's an adult by now, right?
Sora? No. I think Sora is a slightly older teen now.
Really? Okay.
He might just be one of those forever teens.
I see.
I think he does age across the games. It's just from 12-year-old to older teen.
I see.
Anime time skip.
Roger retracts his previous joke.
You know what? Fair.
If he is, it's none of our business. When I was playing Asriel, I would sometimes play around with the whole balancing between Frisk and Asriel. There's actually a thing where at the start of a mission, you have to decide who's in control for this one. It's based on a role, depending on how stable you are at the moment. Asriel is sort of one of the de facto types of characters I tend to play in an RPG, which is nice teenager who is like me as a teen but more idealized. And Frisk, I was more trying to play around with doing stuff a player character would do, and also a little more flirtatious. And I do recall I did try doing a little bit of flirting. Also, Frisk is more sort of a stabilizing force for Asriel, and a lot of the time. It's neat stuff.
Yeah, I also remember one of the things that distinguished the two is that Asriel would always speak, just speak regularly, and then Frisk would speak with a text box.
Yeah, it would be a text box appears that says stuff. I don't remember how I executed on it, but also part of the idea is that Frisk would sometimes just comment by having a dialogue box appear to the side.
Yeah. And also, sometimes, dialogue choices would pop up in those text boxes.
Yeah. That was also part of it. One of the best things about Undertale is just Toby Fox coming up with, really goofy dialogue prompts. So I wanted to, emulate that a bit.
Yeah.
Not a dialogue prompt, but I am once again thinking about Tsundere Plane.
Tsundere Plane. So, well, as I'm sure as we all recall, the premise is our characters died and are brought back in the Reaper Olympics.
Yeah, y'all got to go through the game in order to come back to life. Yeah, why don't you talk about your characters' arcs throughout the campaign and any sort of notable moments for them?
Right.
There is one other thing I want to mention real quick that I had forgotten. Is just that Who Framed Roger Rabbit is one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's a good one.
It's a really good one. I had recently made a Letterboxd account and listed my 4 favorite movies as Airplane, The Blues Brothers, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Which are all excellent movies. But I bring up specifically because I was talking to a friend about it who had not seen that list yet. And asked what they thought my 4 favorite movies were, and they got 3 of them right. Who Framed Roger Rabbit being the first one.
Incredible.
Holy Grail was the only one they did not get.
Real quick, were there any other characters you were considering playing for this campaign?
The only other one I can remember writing down as a possibility would be Crowbar from the Midnight Crew intermission of Homestuck.
Oh, yeah.
As well as from the inaugural death of Mr. Seven, which was a 2-part two-part comic on the Paradox Space website.
The short version is it was like a side project where a bunch of different artists would make up their own stories.
Yeah,
that were considered semi-canonical.
Yeah, short version is he's a green felt person, green puppet man who's a member of a gang de facto leader of a gang called the Felt, who are all time traveling idiots of one caliber or another.
Yeah, they're a little more problem sleuths than Homestuck in how they're portrayed.
Absolutely, but it would be. I thought that would be a fun noir character to be.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did not until just now make the connection that they are both noir comedy characters in noir settings, is how I would say it.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
Anyway, inaugural death of Mr. Seven Part 2. Coming any day now.
It is not.
Did you have any other characters that you had considered, Dan, that you wanted
yeah, I don't think I immediately had any characters I was considering that I recall, but I do know one character I'd played before, and actually I had considered playing them again, was another AU character that was like Silver the Hedgehog, but from like an AU I made up as a teenager, where instead of being from like an apocalyptic dark future, he was from like a cyberpunk dark future. I guess sort of like the bad futures from Sonic CD.
Yeah. And didn't you play that character in Morg's interstitial campaign, like way back?
Yeah. I did. It unfortunately that campaign sort of ended. I'd be happy to like bring him back as a concept. That version of Silver is partially inspired by Ghost of the Future, and as such he's like wearing like a gas mask, a hoodie, and jeans.
We love, like, a casual streetwear look on a Sonic character. It's good to me.
It's always good, yeah. Fucking best part of Sonic Forces is getting to dress up a guy.
So fucking true.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, definitively the best part of that game.
I liked dressing up my guys so much, I put them in the interstitial campaign.
Yeah, I'm the bun.
I'm the bun. What a miserable little freak.
Yeah.
Miserable little freak, parentheses, complimentary.
Yeah.
Exactly. Miserable little freak, parentheses, beloved.
Yeah. As far as, like, how I portrayed Azrael in the campaign, as far as, like, stuff that Azrael did in particular, Azrael sort of functioned as, like, the sort of, like, straight man to Roger Rabbit and Dr. Eggman.
Uh-huh.
Have we talked about, has Izzy talked about playing Eggman on this show so far?
Yeah. Reaper's Olympics Part 1 was one of our earlier episodes.
Mm-hmm. Good. I couldn't quite recall. But yeah, honestly, I think across, like, various campaigns, I've repeatedly have to play, like, the one normal person. And even then, that's with, like, caveats. Like...
Normal for Reaper's Olympics is still pretty buck wild.
Yeah. It's just that he's not self-destructive and relatively focused.
Yeah. Definitely like the most sort of stable character in the bunch. But, you know, also will fucking throw down against Shrek. Parentheses Shrek in a fucking skate off.
Right. Yeah, there were some really silly games.
Who was it? Azrael that played fucking Puyo Puyo against the alien queen from Alien?
I think it was, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Alien from Alien.
The alien queen from Dead by Daylight.
I think all aliens are queens.
That's
so true.
That's true and beautiful, and I love you for it. I definitely recall, like, one of the big things with Azrael in that campaign is, like, Azrael's been sort of, like, as, like, a player in the Reaper's Olympics, is sort of disconnected from his friends, you know, the cast of Undertale. And, like, a big thing for him is him trying to, like, he kind of gave up all his memories, and he and Frisk are desperately trying to piece anything together. At one point, he picks up that Papyrus is, like, serving food at a restaurant they're at, and he's, like, desperately trying to connect with him.
Yeah, Papyrus is a waiter, and no matter what you order, he will only bring you spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
The restaurant is Luigi's from, you know, Luigi Mario.
Yeah.
Year of Luigi, baby. It never ended.
It's been 11 years since then.
God.
It's wild to think about. I'm trying to recall fun stuff.
Yeah, I do feel kind of bad that I didn't, like, put more Undertale characters in the game for Azrael to bounce off of.
I think I might have the sheet somewhere in my files. I'm gonna dig it up. Patrick, tell me about, the saga of Roger Rabbit, and Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah.
Tell me about Roger Rabbit and his beloved wife Jessica and his whatever you call it, Waluigi.
Kismesis.
Yeah,
Kismesis.
So yeah, Roger did, as mentioned, like Azriel gave up memories. Roger gave up, I think it was his love of his wife, his love for his wife, the most important thing in his life, which was fucked up. Don't do that to Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. It was especially bad when he had to interact with his wife, who and kind of had to dance around the fact that things are kind of different.
Yeah, it's a good thing that Roger Rabbit is a professional actor, because otherwise that would have been very bad, as opposed to it just being pretty bad.
And if I'm like remembering correctly, like kind of the way we had like players or like characters in the Reaper's game interacting with, alive characters, then it's like there's just like a psychic barrier in place so that like if you see someone like hey, they look familiar, but you don't really recognize them. But, if you just, like, you also can, like, break the psychic barrier just, like, through force of will. And if I'm remembering correctly, just, like, it just didn't even affect Jessica. She just saw Roger Rabbit and it was like, oh, husband.
I think you're right, is the thing. I'm pretty sure that is how it happened.
Yeah, or at least I think it broke down pretty easily. Like, as soon as she knew about it.
Yeah, from my extensive notes, what I have is Jessica's song is supposed to help save her husband somehow. In the next line, Azriel introduces Roger to Jessica. Jessica is so happy to see him again. She returns to her song. So, based on that, I think it was immediately, oh yeah, that's my husband.
Yeah, because I forget how much I talked about this last time, but Waluigi performed a dark ritual to give himself toon powers, and part of that involved coercing Jessica into like giving a live performance.
He also got big titties.
He also got just the fucking honkers.
Wow, I'm not bad. I'm just drawn this way.
Precisely.
That's not what he would say.
Yeah.
He would say, wow, I am bad and I'm drawn this way.
Oh.
Yeah.
He performed, like, a smaller ritual at some point to get Judge Doom eyes, and, like, the first time he appears in the campaign, like, he's kind of like a fucking cloaked, hooded figure in the tradition of Kingdom Hearts, but, like, you could see his Judge Doom eyes, but you didn't know it was Waluigi until later when he revealed himself.
Yeah.
So something I wanted to mention about Roger's sacrifice of love, as in literal sacrificing his love of his wife, is that, which I think was an interesting choice by me, that made things a lot more interesting.
So much depth and complexity to the character.
Yeah, adding depth and complexity to our friend Roger Rabbit. Hey, wait a second, I thought it was 2D.
No, that's just like when you add like the shading, Roger.
I see.
Like, so it's not just like the flat color. That's why they call it flat, you know? You got to give it the cell shading.
Exactly. No, so Roger did not. Roger lost all the love of his wife, which is also the love of his life. But he did not lose any of his memories or any of like the time they spent together, or even like any of the past love. Really, it wasn't where Roger suddenly felt, oh, I've never loved this person. It was a case of, I know that I used to love this person and now I feel nothing.
Yeah. Fucked up.
And I even have a couple notes in my big notes document about like Roger admires Jessica's work as a performer, of like like, yeah, he can appreciate. I think actually the exact note is like, Roger can appreciate a good show. Yeah, Jessica does a good song and Roger is appreciative of a good show by a pretty lady.
That's right.
So I just thought that was a fun thing, like a fun way to do it. It wasn't Roger never loved her. It wasn't Roger doesn't remember anything. It's, I know I used to love this person, but I feel nothing now. Which was just devastating if you know anything about the character of Roger Rabbit.
It's so fucked up. To separate a wife guy from his wife, just profoundly fucked.
It is. And
it's so sad.
He is truly the most wife guy there ever was.
So true.
So true is the thing.
I want to talk about, like, a couple of, like, really good Roger moments where it's just, like, you know, you kind of just, like, really got rolling with, like, the cartoon character patter and it was just like, okay, yeah, no, you're like really on a roll here. I'm not even gonna make you like roll for it. You just do the bullshit.
Yeah.
And like what? Yeah, like the 2 times I remember, one was like when Roger was talking to Bob Hoskins Mario about like the state of the acting industry.
Yes.
And just like walking off in the middle of the conversation to like score points because like it was in the middle of like a tenacious spinball game.
You know what it was? I don't think it was quite that. I think what it was is Roger talking to Bob Hoskins and then bringing over Chris, Captain Lou Albano and Chris Pratt Mario, and then just like taking out a table and having like a sit-down discussion with the four of them about the state of the industry and what it means to be Mario in the middle of the tenacious spinball court, and allowing the other 3 contestants, his 3 teammates, to just completely decimate the one remaining team member. As Roger just sits in the middle of the court like, yeah, no, it's that damn fame, isn't it?
And then I forget when this other one happened, but I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like Dr. Starline was trying to kill Waluigi, and then Roger just like kind of just got in there and convinced him to drink a cup of sleepy time tea, which put him directly to sleep.
I'm pretty sure that was if I'm remembering properly, that was the classic bit of that even happens actually in Who Framed Roger Rabbit of, hey, drink this. No, don't drink it. Oh, the back and forth switching of, hey, drink this. I don't want to drink it. Okay, well, you got to drink it. I don't want to drink it. I don't want to drink it. I don't want to drink it. Oh, then I want to drink it. But I don't want to drink it. Then I want to drink it. I'm going to drink it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then this was one that I think I did have you roll for, but the time you convinced Neferpito to be your friend. Neferpito Hunter, who is a sicko who kills people.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned those, because I had come into this with a couple in my head, and those weren't even the specific ones. The specific one that I was thinking of, which is a little less of a cartoon thing, but a bit more of a meta thing that still really works well, is that, as people who have listened to previous episodes are likely aware, on the 7th day there was a time loop thing.
Yeah.
So during the first go-around, Roger did get a lightsaber from Obi-Wan Kenobi, I believe.
That's right.
We go through the day resets, and realistically, I should no longer have that lightsaber because because the time has reset, and especially because Roger didn't have any memory of time resetting. This was just the first time around for him. We did then get back to Obi-Wan, and Patrick, looked up my character sheet and said, wait a second, why do I still have this written down? At which point Roger just took out this continuity error to point out and used it to convince Obi-Wan that yes, time travel has happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, that was just a really good bit. That's the thing, is so much of Roger is just a really good bit.
Yeah, definitely. It was like so much fun, like having a character that can like do just like extremely cartoony, like occasionally meta bits in the middle of like everything else going on in that campaign.
Yeah, like even one of the first things that I remember Roger doing that had impact was during the race at like the very first day.
Yeah.
When we were running to the stadium, and Roger then actually it might have been the second or third day that this happened. Whatever it is, during one of the races, Roger quickly painted a fake finish line, 20 feet in front of the real finish line, complete with like audience standees and confetti and all that, with the purpose of the first place person, which I believe Sonic,
I think so. I think it was Sonic. Yeah,
crossed the fake finish line, stopped and began celebrating because he had crossed the finish line, and then Roger and Co just kept going and crossed the real finish line.
Good shit.
Good shit indeed. And I'm not going to go over all these things, but, Roger did also do the classics of, giant Acme-style rocket.
Yeah.
I mentioned the telephone earlier. Definitely did a frying pan at the end that I'll definitely get to later.
Oh, yeah. Getting killed by, like, a Final Fantasy level piano gag.
Yeah, that did happen.
Something I distinctly recall is, like, as Azrael is, like, struggling with his memory and, like, trying to unlock stuff, Roger, like, went into his head.
Yeah, thank you. That is the other one that I wanted to mention.
Definitely an iconic moment for me.
Yeah.
It's all, like, messed up and it's full of doors, and, like, a lot of the doors are wrapped up in vines that can't be opened. Good stuff.
Yeah, representing, like, Azrael's, like, sealed away memories of his friends.
But yeah, Roger basically did similar to near the start of Space Jam, where Bugs Bunny looks through Michael Jordan's head. Similar to that, but just kind of stretching the ear wide open, stepping inside, and then walking around Azrael's brain, and then doing impromptu brain surgery / weed whacking.
With Eggman's chainsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of Azrael's brain, like, that was a fun setup that, like, I was able to use later when we had Azrael in the, like, in kind of, like, the liminal space that he went to before he, like, time looped at the end of the first 7th day. It was a space that, like, kind of technically shouldn't have existed because, well, I mean, the real reason it's there is because, like, it's kind of like the god dimension that Hanyu Higurashi lives in, and she's the one who sort of, like, pulled your consciousness, like, into that space and, like, gave you the chance to loop back. But I know that no one here, aside from me, knows Higurashi, so that one's kind of just for me, so...
Sometimes you're allowed is the thing.
I'm allowed.
Didn't realize they were a Higurashi character, and I think I imagined them as, like, some sort of fox girl or something.
Kind of. She has, like, little demon horns. That's her thing.
Yeah. Hanyu.
Yeah, and, like, I sort of conceived of that scene in the first place because it was like, I really want to give, like, Azrael, like, a big main character moment and kind of give his character a chance to really shine.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what led me to the idea of, like, having a time loop in the first place. I was like, I want a cool Azrael scene.
It was a cool fucking sequence.
Yeah.
Another thing I distinctly recall is Azrael desperately trying to befriend and convince M the Bun to come to join them.
Yeah. And it really didn't work out. You rolled bad for that one. So, like, she was just, like, having a really shitty day to start off with, and she just kind of ended up getting really mad at you.
Yeah.
It didn't go well.
Yeah.
Or she had, had some time to clear your head. She was like, hey, sorry, I was kind of a dick back there. I hope we're cool.
There are some people who desperately want good things to happen to M the Bun, and it's not always going to happen for them. We talked about Chris Pratt and Mario. It is it was so funny to think about, just because I think just how we treated it. Like, the movie hadn't been out yet. I don't think it would come out for like another 2 years.
We had not yet had the chance to watch the movie and judge the performance. We hadn't even seen the trailer at that point, but we were all just like, yeah, this is gonna suck. Mm-hmm. We all know exactly what this is gonna be like.
More specifically, I think the way we treated it, like, he was being paired up with, like, the, like, real people. So, functionally, we were treating it as if it were Chris Pratt in a Party City Mario costume.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was with the live-action Marios. Mm-hmm. So it was just like, this isn't Mario. This is just like Chris Pratt dressed as Mario.
Mm-hmm. That whole hospital sequence, I can't remember the exact chain of events, but, like, part of it was, like, Roger Rabbit just doing, like, 6 different gags at once. Like, baby smoking cigars, inflation, various, like, hospital cartoon gags. It was something.
Yep. It was kind of cursed.
Some stuff from the early game I remember is, like, initially the way Azrael was approaching, like, conflicts was trying to do, like, Undertale style, mercy, puzzles, and also I remember, Frisk flirting with, Gothfield. As a reminder, the fucking Goth Garfield that had been around on Twitter at the time was one of the characters in that campaign.
Yep.
A very sexually active character.
Yeah. She ended up way hornier than I ever intended her to be, but you know what? Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her and Yoshi.
Yeah, I was gonna say, remember Yoshi? Azrael fucking loved that guy.
Azrael loves Yoshi. Like, something that was definitely, like, distinct about how I was portraying Azrael involved, like, different, like, inspirations from, like, different bits of fan art. One of which is, there's some lines here and there in Deltarune that sort of imply that Azrael has a very strong attachment to Yoshi.
Yeah.
And there's, like, fan art playing with that. Like, for example, like, Azrael getting really, really sad when, probably either Kara or Chris, depending on the universe, would do the sort of, like, Yoshi jump skip thing in, Mario World. Azrael just idolizes Yoshi. If I wanted to be, like, more of a freak about it, I could have had something like Yoshi pulling out an egg. What does it smell like, just for laughs? I don't think I did that. I think I could have done that if I had a mindset more like, some of the other players.
Yeah, it could have happened. Yeah. I feel like that campaign was anything goes in a lot of ways. It could have happened. You could have gone there.
Something else I remember is, like, Azrael also forms weird attachments with other people. Just, like, the way I would describe Azrael forming attachments to someone is the way, like, someone who lives in a very particular set of circumstances becomes very attached to, like, some one-off fictional character. Like, the sort of people who have, like, dedicated, accounts to drawing just, like, one character, like, one side character or something. Other characters that, like, Azrael just being super attached to is, Papyrus, and I'm not sure if, I feel like Luigi was also there, but I'm not sure. Or was one of them, but I'm not sure. But, like, there's stuff in Undertale, and Undertale side stuff, and Undertale fan art that has, like, Flowey having, like, a huge attachment to Papyrus because Flowey might be projecting on them a little bit, or might be willing to respect Papyrus in ways that other characters would just sort of, like, dismiss him. So, like, when he saw Papyrus, he was, like, desperately trying to cling on to him, desperately trying to reconnect.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that being a pretty good scene when Azrael and Papyrus met in the restaurant.
Another person I remember that I don't think we've talked about Asriel knowing was our friend Sonic.
Yeah, Sonic.
Yeah, I remember Asriel, like, having, like, a discussion pretty early on about, like, whether he could trust Eggman. I remember that being kind of like a sort of a early development in the campaign and kind of a source of like interpersonal tension. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah, there was like a whole session where the whole thing was like Eggman and by extension the rest of the party sort of hashing out the details with Sonic and Tails and just sort of like dealing with what happened when Eggman died.
Yeah. Sonic in that campaign was... I don't think this, like, really came into play much, but, like, my sort of version of Sonic in that campaign is very much, like, kind of like the way Izzy describes, like, Sonic and Eggman as being kind of, like, mirror images of each other. So I was kind of like, oh, this version of Sonic just kind of does what he wants, and like what he wants is like usually to be good and help people, but ultimately it is like a matter of like what he wants to do versus like kind of like having any moral code about it. So this version of Sonic like didn't give two shits about killing Eggman. He was just like, yeah, guy had to go. Whereas like Tails, in complete contrast, like harbored years of guilt about it. Whereas and then like when it seemed like he was turning a corner, Sonic was just like, okay, bring him back to life. Cool, chill. If he gets bad again, I'll just kill him a second time. No problem, dude.
Yeah.
Just do it again.
Do it again. Did it once, just fine.
I'm looking over my notes, and something else that I think is worth mentioning is Asriel's OC.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Asriel makes like the god of hyperdeath as an OC.
I also remember Roger's OC.
Oh, I don't remember Roger's OC. Remind me.
That's our good friend Sam John Smith, the mattress salesman.
Ah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then I remember how that played out. Like, y'all were in the Draw Your OCs Olympic event, and I remember Roger Rabbit just rolling really badly. So the OC... I decided that the OC he came up with was just, like, accidentally an actual person, and then so Roger got disqualified for drawing RPF.
That was another good bit of what sort of insane, edgy, over-the-top OC character would Roger Rabbit make?
Oh, just a guy.
A guy.
Yeah. Remember when Roger tried to use the Blade of Darkest Night?
I do remember when Roger tried to use the Blade of Darkest Night.
I don't. Remind me.
Remember when Roger tried to use the Blade of Darkest Night from Gilly Nibs?
Our favorite fictional character. Because if I'm remembering correctly, Roger used another powerful artifact at that point in time.
Yeah.
I guess not an artifact, but the power of an artifact, which is the mask from Jim Carrey's The Mask.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was also very fun of, what if Roger Rabbit is rude now? Roger Rabbit voice, I'm rude now.
And then you like pulled the Blade of Darkest Night out of like an illustration that Emery had done, and then tried to use it to attack Wario, but you rolled really badly, so Wario just ate the Blade of Darkest Night and turned it into a motorcycle.
He did, in fact, make the Hog of Darkest Night.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't like that one. I'm taking that one back.
No, you said it. It's out there now.
I guess. No, I am thinking, because you mentioned that there weren't a ton of Undertale characters, which I think is true. But also, partially by nature of the movie, there weren't a ton of Roger Rabbit characters.
Yeah.
You know, there was, of course, Jessica. There was Waluigi took some aspects of Judge Doom and some other people. Bob Hoskins was there, but the real person,
the real actor,
not Eddie Valiant.
You are suddenly reminding me of one of my favorite Roger Rabbit bits, which is that Roger Rabbit, as a noted Los Angeles actor, is part of SAG.
Yes.
He tried to call up his union rep to like help them out with a workers' strike.
Yeah, that's what I was going to start talking about, is because there wasn't a ton of actual Who Framed Roger Rabbit characters to pull in. So we did just pull in some other cartoon characters that was a good time. One of which was when Roger called his union rep Pikachu.
Yeah, that's one of the moments for that campaign where it's just like, oh, I love interstitial, where it's just like, oh, Roger's calling a union rep. Who in all of fiction would that be? Who's like repping the Screen Actors Guild in this completely deranged world? And it's like, oh, that's not even a fucking question. It's so stupid. You're so stupid for asking. Obviously, it's Pikachu.
Obviously. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and actually, there were thinking about it, most of the classic cartoon characters we met did have jobs within the industry, because the other one I remember is Michigan J. Frog. Who, for those listening who don't know who that is because you're normal, Michigan J. Frog is the name of that one cartoon frog from Looney Tunes who does the song and the dance, and then when the man tries to show the singing, dancing frog to anyone, it just is a regular frog. He's the one who does the Michigan Rag. I'm trying to think, what are the other? There's like 3 songs he does, but the Michigan Rag is the most well known. And it's like, everybody do the Michigan Rag.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you know what? No, that's the second most well known. The most well known one would be "Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal."
Yeah.
So that frog is a talent scout.
Yeah. God, I remember that you met that. I completely forgot about that part. This is just like awakening a memory in me where it's just like, oh yeah, you met that guy doing Olympic karaoke.
It's true, I did.
God, so much shit happened in that fucking campaign.
There was a lot of things will never stop happening. But yeah, and Roger did use Michigan J. Frog to find Jessica as a as someone who knows people in the industry. And the other person that I wanted to note Roger's relationship with, who was not in fact a cartoon character but still works in the field, was our old friend Maximilian Pegasus.
That's right. Fucking Pegasus having kind of a weird crush on Roger Rabbit, which wasn't really what I was intending from the get-go, but it's like, you know what?
He would.
Might as well just fucking do it.
Yeah, here's the thing. He canonically likes silly rabbits.
He loves funny rabbits.
He loves cartoons.
Imagine you die and have to participate in some weird afterlife thing, but also your favorite cartoon character is there.
Yeah, your favorite silly little bunny.
Your favorite, your silly little rabbit.
Exactly.
Is that what they call you? No. But yeah, so those are just the ones offhand that we haven't mentioned that I remember Roger having specific relationships with.
God, was Pegasus on a team with Kirby and Halo Master Chief?
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yeah. I think teams were a thing we were established pretty early on. I don't remember much about them.
What a fucking stupid campaign.
No, it was good.
It was a product of, well, I was going to say, I feel this is a little mean to say, but it was a product of mania and COVID-19 and just needing to get some thoughts out.
Yeah. I was definitely having a bit of a manic one for a lot of the planning of this, but I think it came out pretty well.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it can come out well.
Yeah. This is one where I look back at that and it's like, oh, my brain is good sometimes.
It's true. The one other important thing I guess I should mention slash ask about, because I do not recall is Eggman, our friend Eggman.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy.
I'm trying to think because I can't remember. There was an Eggman episode, correct?
Eggman episode of what? Oh, right.
Sorry,
of the show,
of the podcast we're currently on.
Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, we the first episode we talked about an interstitial. Izzy was there and talked all about Eggman.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But so I don't want to, go, retread old ground too much regarding the relationships between Eggman and Roger and Eggman and Azrael. But I do think that Eggman and Roger had a neat relationship.
Yeah, they were friends.
They were friends, and Roger never stopped seeing the good in this big dumb idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do really love all the friends Roger made along the way.
Roger made so many friends, which does lead to my actual favorite thing that Roger did in the campaign, which was near the very end. Because, we've been talking about the characters and the story, some of the story. We haven't talked too much about mechanics, which is understandable. But I do have two things I need to mention about the character of Roger Rabbit, the character sheet who used the light playbook from Interstitial. But there were two very important moves that Roger had taken that did not come up too much at all throughout the course of the game. The first one is called Nothing Hurts Like the Cold, which is you can spend heart links to cause harm to someone. For every 2 harm you do, you take 1 harm. And I think I used that a couple times throughout the campaign, maybe. And the other one is I Know You Will. When you take someone at their word, create a heart link with them. If they break their word, break the link, and have the offending player break another light link. So at this point, we're at the final boss. We've gotten, we need to do one big final attack. Everyone is here. Game Master Anthony is here. And Roger turns to everyone and says, hey, can you all, everyone, I need you to give me your full support. And I take everyone at their word that they're going to fully support me at this, which gives me a heart link for basically every NPC in the game at that point.
Yeah, like 40 plus characters or something.
Yeah. Which then let me immediately spend all those heart links to create just the ultimate frying pan, I believe, was the finishing move.
Yeah, a frying pan just like made out of like the psychic energy of like worlds worth of people.
Incredibly silly decision.
Incredibly silly. Especially silly because I did recite the shining burning finger from Mobile Suit Gundam.
Incredible.
But in Roger Rabbit, take this, my love, my anger, and all of my sorrow.
God. Yeah, and that killed Wario, essentially a godlike being in this campaign.
I really liked the immediate aftermath of that. Where Roger did take 1 billion damage in return.
Yeah, the fucking recoil from that. It should have killed Roger, but like obviously we couldn't have that happening. So I was like, you know what? Let's pay off that friendship that Roger made with Neferpito from Hunter x Hunter. Neferpito, who canonically can heal basically any injury. So they used their Nen power, Dr. Blythe, to essentially like tape Roger up with cellophane and redraw them essentially as like sort of the film medium that like they exist on was like being fucking burned up into nothing.
Yeah, and that was just a really neat visual effect in my mind of Roger literally like burning like a stray piece of film.
Yeah. Also, like, I honestly like Roger being friends with Neferpito is like one of the it didn't play like a huge role in the campaign, but it's just one of those things that kind of like was way more consequential than you think it would be. Because I also want to talk about the Reaper reports that I wrote. And those were just like little scenes with NPCs that I wrote to sort of like, fill in some of the gaps and flesh out some of the details of like what's going on behind the scenes in the campaign. And like, I didn't even intend this from the beginning, but at some point I was like, oh, these should be written from Neferpito's perspective, because like, they're based on the Reaper reports from like the original game, and those are written like in universe by a certain character. So I was like, oh, these should be written by Neferpito, because like Neferpito like canonically like controls a lot of puppets and can basically have like a god's eye view of like anything in the underground. So like this is Neferpito writing down all this stuff that's going on. And then like when I was writing the last one, I was like, oh, Neferpito is writing this for Roger as like a little parting gift to give to him, as like they sort of leave the Olympics and sort of go off to continue on their own journey. And I think that's nice.
It's nice.
Just sort of a little piece of the story that really sort of, formed along the way.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that was really good about both this game and this character, is like he was still Roger throughout the entire campaign. I don't think he had I don't want to say he didn't have an arc, because that's not quite correct. He had an arc, but it wasn't, an arc that changed him. He was Roger.
Yeah.
He was Roger, and he knew who he was. And that was also a fun character. That was also fun to play a character who didn't need to have a bunch of personal growth.
Yeah. It's like the type of character arc where, you're like the character that doesn't grow, but kind of like, changes the people around them.
Yes, exactly.
I think it's called like a flat positive character arc or something.
Possibly. I'm not
sure. I feel like I've heard something like that before.
It was good. And then at the end, Roger got back together with his wife and became God.
And they became God.
What if God was a rabbit and his wife?
What if? I think that would be pretty neat, actually.
Yeah, they were great.
Definitely.
Roger Rabbit and Jessica Rabbit, truly the greatest who ever did it. Just be thankful that I can't do a Roger Rabbit voice doing a Borat voice.
God. Yeah, I would hate that.
It would sound really bad.
It probably would, is the thing. Or it'd sound really good.
Maybe.
Yeah. Dan, any further thoughts on Asriel? I definitely like that sort of Asriel was the one to, like, sort of, kick off the time loop, and then also be the one, to sort of deliver, to have those memories and to, like, deliver the message of, like, oh, we have to get everyone together. We have to, like, get everyone, fighting against this, like, unjust ruler.
Yeah.
That's the only way to, like, achieve victory against impossible odds.
Yeah. So I think generally one of the big things with Asriel is he's an optimist, and he's experienced death multiple times. He wants things to be good this time,
Yeah.
He's trying his best. Under all circumstances, you can say that Asriel was trying his best.
Definitely.
I think that wraps things up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one other thing I thought about Roger, which is the closest thing he had to a personal growth arc, which was just about sometimes you can't be funny.
Yeah.
Which was both a plot arc, like a personal growth thing, and also like the one downside to playing a character like Roger Rabbit, which, ruled basically the entire time. But then there were points where it's like, oh, how do I get, this is a serious scene. How do I get Roger to work here?
Yeah, like, how do we put some weight behind this?
Exactly. That being said, there were two different occasions where Roger was affected by the power of drama, or affected someone with the power of drama to physically weakened cartoons. So
yeah.
Changing the tone of the scene so that the other toons could be physically harmed.
Yeah. But Roger was a super fun character. But yes, I feel like there was a lot of times where I kind of had to purposely try to step back because, if not, Roger will overtake this scene. And it can't be the Roger Rabbit show. I refuse to let it be the Roger Rabbit show.
Yeah, I thought the balance was like very good. It was never like too much.
Oh, I agree, but I think I think it's the type of character that definitely could be too much if you aren't super paying attention.
Yeah, if there's nothing else, why don't we wrap it up? Do y'all have any plugs for us? I know Dan does.
I'm Dan. You can find me at a lot of places. You can find those places at biggerchallenge.card.co. That includes my podcasts, Pot of Greed, a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast. We are making our way through the second season of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. We're about to enter something I've been looking forward to for a long time called Crash Town. Crash Town. I'll say it now just because none of my co-hosts are on here and because we'll probably be already talking about it by the time this goes up.
Yeah, we're behind on our releases. You're good. You got plenty of time.
Crash Town is an arc where the characters leave Neo Domino City, the cyberpunk city, to go to a small Wild West town where people duel to the death. It is combining the concept of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel and a Wild West duel.
Holy shit.
There's a fucking bit where they say draw, and they pull out guns that then turn into duel discs.
Cool. I was going to ask. I wasn't even going to ask. I was going to just in my head assume that they're going to make a quick draw joke at some point.
God.
Yeah.
I love it when Yu-Gi-Oh! Just, gets incredibly fucking stupid with its premise.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best to me. That's why GX is my favorite.
When they lose the duel, they get put in a coffin and are carted off.
They're carted off.
No, they get carted off they get pulled off by a carriage, a drawn carriage, and they're actually alive and are taken to a fucking hidden mine where they're forced to work there. It is some wild shit. If you want to see card games and guns in the same place, you should check out the Crash Town arc.
It sounds pretty good.
You can listen to the Sonic Hustle, a Sonic Games and Media podcast. We're making our way through a lot of 2000s Sonic games. I'm trying to get us through to get us from Sonic Adventure to Sonic 06. We recently recorded an episode on Sonic Advance. From there, we'll be covering Advance 2, Battle, and Heroes. Look forward to that. And Video Games the Movie, the podcast, a video game movie review podcast I do with my friend Maxie. Our next episode is going to be the Pokemon Mystery of the Unknown. It's the one with Entei being a dad and the unknown. I saw that movie in theaters. I'm very much looking forward to watching it and talking about it. There's co-host, Tumblr. Those are Big Challenges and Bigger Challenge, respectively. You can check out the Small Saga Let's Play that all three of us are on. On my YouTube, Big Challenges. I might put off the Let's Play for a little while because I need to work on a bonus video that requires a lot more effort than the regular episodes to work on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, you do have to sync the video and audio for that one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It requires, more editing than just putting in and than just, fading in and fading out and knowing when to cut.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that's all the core stuff. Patrick, where can we find you?
I'm not too active most places. I don't have too much to plug, but I will plug my itch.io page, Warm Shade Games, where I have a couple RPG things. I made a playbook for Fellowship that I'm really proud of, and a solo journaling RPG called To Be a Master that I really need to get back and make some of those edits that I've been meaning to make.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a couple cool things there. And the other thing that I want to mention is that at cohost.com, but that's incorrect. You can go to cohost.org/goodbadbrawl to find a co-host where me and former guest of the show, Malice, are hopefully soon going to be uploading some episodes of a podcast we are doing about the hit web series, hit in multiple quotation marks, There Will Be Brawl. And if you aren't familiar with There Will Be Brawl, you are in for a treat.
Oh boy.
Let me know when that goes live. I desperately want to listen to you two talk about it.
Yeah, we've recorded one episode. It's just a matter of finding the time to continue it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's all from me.
Yeah. I'm Emery. You can find me on a podcast called We Rate Queerbait, where we do the thing in the title. We're kind of taking a break from our usual episode structure in the ones we're recording right now. We started kind of doing like a clip show thing where we just like kind of take a look back at all the series we've covered and, you know, just relive some memories, you know, talk about all the insane shit that happened and some of the insane shit that we made up, kind of. And that's been very, very fun. I love remembering some of my favorite series, like F Monsters and Sonic X and Serial Experiments Lane. 3 shows with very similar and not at all wildly disparate tones. I'm also on for Affinity with the username Space Robot. No commissions right now because I'm busy. I'm working full-time. It sucks. I'm also on an upcoming audio drama pilot, which I can finally give some details for. It's called The Disappearances of Lydia Fontaine, and it's we have a planned crowdfunding campaign for it that is tentatively going to be starting on May the 20th. It's very exciting. Can't wait for y'all to hear it. Can't wait for y'all to hear me doing a stupid fucking voice on it.
And you can find me in the Baby Herman comic strip.
Speaking of stupid voices.
Now you take that back.
Well, that's your specialty, isn't it?
I suppose.
All right, y'all. That does it for us. This podcast is part of the Noisespace.xyz network. Thank you to Matt GameCube for hosting us. We are also on co-host and Tumblr, just at Check Out This Guy for both. We also have a Discord server. We do streams every Monday and Friday. I think we're switching it up so that art streams are on Monday and group watches are on Fridays, just because I never have any fucking energy on Fridays anymore to draw with. Once again, full-time job. Yeah, you know, it's also just a nice place to hang out. Talk about your OCs, talk about other bullshit. It's just a chill place. All right, so I think that about does it for this episode. And until next time,
that's all, folks.
That's all, folks. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.